Hi, welcome back to Joe Blogs. South Korea is the 14th largest economy in the world. However, over the past couple of days, it has all been kicking off. Now, those chaotic scenes were filmed late on Tuesday night outside of the parliamentary buildings in South Korea. And this took place after the president of the country declared martial law. He made a live TV declaration at around 10:35 on Tuesday, stating that because anti-government forces were plotting against him, he needed to instruct martial law. He cancelled the rights of all politicians, he banned all media activity, and he gave the army the right to arrest people without warrant. However, the president of South Korea did not have the support of the South Korean parliament, who actually made their way to the parliamentary buildings and started blockading themselves in to prevent the military from gaining access to the building. And this graphic shows the timeline of the events that took place late on Tuesday night and early Wednesday morning in South Korea. At 10:35 p.m, the president declared martial law. Around 40 minutes later, the opposition leader said that the martial law was illegal and invalid, and he actually live-streamed himself on the way to the parliamentary buildings. He was telling the people of South Korea that this was an illegal act and that the army should not be allowed to take over the country. At 10 minutes past midnight on Wednesday, soldiers attempted to enter the parliamentary building. By 1 o'clock, Parliament had unanimously passed a request to lift the martial law. 190 of the 300 politicians had entered the building and unanimously voted to lift the martial law. Following that vote at 1:15 a.m, the soldiers left the parliamentary building. At 3:10 a.m, South Korea's largest labour union, Confederation, announced plans for a general strike in the country. At 4:29 a.m, the president reappeared on national TV, saying that he was lifting martial law, and that order was approved by the South Korean cabinet at 5:20 a.m. So what is going on in South Korea? Why did the president declare martial law and then lift it 7 hours later? Well, this all stems from the fact that the president, who was voted in May 2022, had the slightest and narrowest margin ever in South Korea's history. And since that time, he's faced a lot of opposition, and recently he's been struggling to get his budget approved, and he's also been facing impeachment charges both for himself and also a number of members of his government, and his wife was also accused of taking a Dior handbag as a potential bribe from a pastor who's supportive of North and South Korea rejoining together. So there's been a lot of opposition building against him, and so he decided unilaterally to call martial law. And when you look back at South Korea's history, since it was established following World War II, there have actually been a number of instances of martial law where the military have stepped in and taken over. And this, I guess, was his attempt to reignite those sort of ideas, to try to take over the country, tell everybody what was going to happen, and then establish a new regime. However, the opposition was wise to this. They decided that they were not going to allow this martial law to actually take hold. They got themselves down to the parliamentary building, voted against it, and the president therefore had no option but to agree to lift the martial law. And he's now facing impeachment charges, and it's very likely that he's going to be replaced at some point in the very near future, likely to be within the next 72 hours. But as I said right at the start of this video, South Korea is the 14th largest economy in the world. It's a member of the G20. It's also an ally of the US, and it's been against Russia in terms of what's happening in Ukraine. And all of this is likely to continue raising tensions in the North-South Korea divide. North Korea has been teaming up with Russia. We've actually talked about the fact that North Korean soldiers are now on the ground in Russia. They've been fighting alongside Russian troops in the Kursk region, which has been occupied by Ukrainian forces for the past few months. And so tensions are rising globally at the moment. There are concerns that North Korea could take some action against South Korea. And the fact that the political situation in South Korea is obviously now very unstable could potentially raise the prospect of North Korea deciding that now would be a good time to take some action against South Korea. I think the overall summary of today's video is that what's been going on in South Korea over the past few days has been complete chaos, we've got political turmoil and a potential change of government in the offing. If the president is impeached, then it will trigger a new presidential election, and it could be that we have a change of power. But all of that represents a lot of instability in South Korea, a lot of uncertainty, and it raises the risk of something happening between North and South Korea, which could potentially become a much bigger global issue, because Russia has become much closer to North Korea over the past 12 to 18 months. And if something did happen in the Korean Peninsula, there is the prospect that Russia could be supportive of whatever North Korea is doing. That then potentially could draw in the West on the side of South Korea, and we could see global tensions raising further. So hopefully you've enjoyed today's video, you found it useful, informative and thought-provoking. If you've liked what I've said, then please give me a thumbs up. Thank you for watching this video all the way through to the end, and here's something to put a smile on your face.